Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. While we're waiting for the rest of the folks to join us here, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to everyone on the show today. While my other participants are getting ready to join the show, Rufus Devon Kane from Monrovia will be joining us as well. We'll be broadcasting live on Love TV. And while everyone is coming on, and I myself, I'm a little bit getting ready here. We are excited for everything that's going on. Just got back from Liberia, from Monrovia, with my wife and my son, and had a very, very, very interesting trip. Very, very revealing, very interesting, very power packed. Did a lot of traveling around Monrovia, outside of Monrovia, went to Firestone and gathered a lot of data, gathered a lot of information on my trip. And Ava himself was also there. So what we'll be doing today is we will be comparing notes. We will be comparing notes on our show today and discussing everything that we saw on the trip, everything that we experienced on the trip, mainly from the commercial, from the business sector. Okay, so we're not going to be talking about politics here. We're going to be talking exclusively about business, talking about what we saw from the economic standpoint, what we saw from job creation, activity in the economy, everything, even my big talk that I talk about electricity that you see behind me here. We're going to be talking about electricity. We're going to be talking about the power grid, LEC, the role LEC is going to play in the future development of Liberia. Just about everything. I mean, we drove around, my wife and I and our son, we drove around. We went all the way to Robertsfield, through Firestone, came all the way through 15 Gate, come back all the way through Mount Barkley, Fendel, went all the way out to Raikes Institute, my alma mater. We saw a lot of stuff, economically, geographically. So when Ava joins the show this morning, he will also be comparing notes, talking about what we saw, what we experienced, and and we'll be opening up the phone lines and updating the diaspora population across the U.S., Canada, Europe, and other places who tune into the show. So please share the link this morning before we start. Share the link, please share it. Let's get more people on the show. Let's get more people discussing and talking about what's important to Liberia's growth and economic progress. Let's talk about it. Let's get right into it. So as soon as Ava and Rufus Devon Kane joins in, we will be able to dive into it. We will be able to jump into it. We will be able to talk about all of the big economic indicators, things that are happening on the ground that people don't usually hear about, things that are happening on the ground economically that people don't really talk about, things that are happening on the ground that people don't really connect to and connect with. So let's give it a couple of more minutes here. Let more people join the live. We're also live on Love TV Live Facebook stream. We're live there. We're live on a couple of other streams as well. So find us, connect with us. We're on Ava Tokbat's page. We're also on CPTV, Business Talk, January 11th. CPTV, join us there. We're also live, like I said, live, Love TV Live. We're live there. We're also on Divine Television Liberia. Go join us on that page. We're also on People's TV. Join us on that page as well. We're also on ANC Liberia's page. Join us there. And we're also on Ava Tokbat YouTube TV page as well. So join us. Let's talk about what we saw. We're going to be comparing notes. Like I said, once Ava joins me on the program here, We will then be able to talk about some more issues, talk about some more topics. But basically, we will be talking about things that we saw, things that we experienced, economic growth, job creation. All of those things will be talked about, discussed, and expanded upon today from our trip, our recent trip. I just got back on Sunday night. My wife and myself and my son, we just crawled into bed about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. This on Sunday, so tomorrow makes us 1 week back. We experienced a lot, so we want to dig deep, dive deep, go wide, go high, and talk about what we saw, what we experienced, and see how we can bring those topics to bear. Okay, so please share the link. Share the link with everyone. Share the link with everyone, and let's see how we can make this program today, January 11th, a very exciting program where we can talk about, these issues, talk about economic growth in Liberia, things that are happening on the ground, things that are, taking place, things that are really impacting economic growth, job creation, stimulating the economy, moving us from where we are to where we need to be, attracting the diaspora population back to Liberia to play a more meaningful role in the economy. Those are the things we need to talk about. Those are the things we need to go deep in, and those are the things we really, really need to discuss, because those are the bread and butter issues that will transform this country and make this country the way everyone wants it to be, an economic mecca or an economic oasis on the West African coast. So please join the program today. And I'm just waiting for the rest of my guys here to join the program, and we will be live and talking about those issues. So just give us a couple of minutes here, and we will be live on the show here very, very shortly. We will be live on the show here very, very shortly. I'm waiting for Rufus, and I'm waiting for the rest of the folks to come in here. So let's see where Rufus is. Good. Mr. C. Aloysius, following us all the way from Maryland County. Good. Yeah. Thank you, Aloysius. Thank you for joining the show today. Excited about you joining the show from all the way down there in Maryland County. I'm waiting for my guys to show up here. If they don't show, we're just going to go right ahead into this thing and start talking about what we need to talk about. And let me put the link here on the group so everybody can see the link. And we would jump right into it here. We would jump right into it here. So I'm waiting for Rufus and the rest of the guys to join. I don't know where they are, but I'm sure they're coming. I'm sure they're just tied up, busy like everybody else. And so I'm going to give him a couple of more minutes here, and while I'm doing some stuff here. To all the viewers, please share the show today. Please share the show. Please share it. Please share it. And We want everybody's participation in the show today. Thank you, Moses. Thank you very much. Complimenting my background. Yes, it's all about electricity. Electricity is very, very important for Liberia's growth, development, and economic progress. So we will be talking about that today as well on the show from my trip back to Monrovia over the past, we were there for about 2 weeks. And we will be talking about everything we saw. Ava and I will be comparing notes today, talking about what we experienced, what we saw in the business sector, what we experienced, what we saw there as well. So please make sure to share the link. Well, I'm going to give them about 4 more minutes before I jump right into it. So please share the link to all your friends. Share it on Facebook, share it wherever you can, and let's get more people to participate, because this is basically a quote unquote an economic update on the activities from my trip, looking at it from the economic perspective, looking at it from the job creation perspective, looking at it from the small business perspective, looking at it from the perspective where we're talking about job creation, economic growth, and what we can do to move, how diaspora can play a more meaningful role in Liberia's growth and economic development. Okay. So that's going to be our show today. We're going to be comparing notes. What did Ava see? What did I see? What did I experience? What did Ava experience? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So let's just give them a couple of more minutes here, and then we will be segueing into this. Okay. I'm going to mute this for a second, and I'm going to be right back, folks. Just give me 1 minute here. Just give me 1 minute here, folks. I see Alexander Trump, they just joined us from Ghana. I see Alfred Boo also joined us, Tanu Moloba. Tanu, you're the comedian. I hope you're not going to create any jokes today, because we're going to be very, very serious. Victor Logan, thank you, Victor, for sharing the link in 30 different groups. I appreciate that. So please share the link, and we will be joining everybody here in a couple of minutes. I was just on the phone talking to the rest of the guys here, and they will be joining me here very, very shortly. And like I said, we just got back, so we will be discussing and comparing notes, talking about things from the economic point of view, talking about economic growth, the role that LEC plays will have to play. We'll be talking about job creation. We'll be talking about small, medium-sized Liberian businesses. And we'll be talking about the role that LEC will play in the future of Liberia. Trying to get my screen bright enough here. For some reason, I'm not seeing myself well. I don't know what's going on here, but just bear with me, everybody. There he is. The maestro himself has arrived. There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Good, great. The brace is gone. The neck brace is gone. That is progress.
You're the first one who noticed it. I was on Spoon last night and nobody noticed it.
The brace
anyway,
is gone.
You were aware I went to the doctor, so that makes a difference. It's good, funny though. I see how animals can be conditioned because my mind is still like I got a brace on.
Really?
I'm still naturally turning like this instead of trying to do my neck like that. But thank you.
We're happy for you. This is good. This is progress. I'm happy for you. Very, very happy about your healing, your transformation. Like I told you, this is an interesting and powerful time for you. And I'm happy that God's being good. Prayer still works. And indeed, the prayers of all your friends and loved ones for you to heal, to be transformed, and to be restored and be revived. They're all working. So we're seeing that. And we're all happy for you. I'm truly happy.
You sure you're not a pastor or motivational speaker?
All of us are. Sometimes some people just don't answer the call. That's all. But let me I don't know where Rufus is this morning. I can't get him.
And he was the first one to ask for link, right?
But either way, what we're going to do, we're going to jump right.
Well, we got people. Yeah, I think even sometimes if you got one person, you got to be able to meet that requirement to engage and provide the message and information for them. Sometimes it's enough. So we can wait for him for a few minutes if you want, but I think we should go ahead.
No. Let's go ahead. Time is far spent.
I mean, your background powerful. Would you imagine I'm in Liberia?
It's coming. Victor Logan. Yes. Please. Victor wants us to start the show. He said because he can't wait. I'm seeing comments jumping on here. People are saying that they want us to go right ahead and start the show. So let's go in.
Let's go
in and you're the expert on this thing. So you kick it off. Talk about it.
Folks, as you guys know, I was in Liberia for like a month, and then Akina visited. We did not see each other in Liberia, but he was there for at least 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yes.
Yeah. So, but we did crisscross at the time that the Ministry of Commerce was doing their trade fair and conference. So he also went around, purposefully in different communities, looking at how businesses were evolving and how people were doing things. And, he has a need to share that information with the public. I too did some things out there, engaged some people. So the purpose of this show is really to kind of compare notes. I personally understand it's not easy in Liberia. It's very, very challenging. A lot of people are facing problems, but there has to be an understanding transitioning from one state to another. It's just not a complete change or complete improvement. And we as Liberians need to ask ourselves, yes, the government has changed, but what have I done to change? What have I done to move the needle for myself, for my family, my community, my county, and my country? So those questions should be something that we should all be asking ourselves. We should all be concerned with. And, from our perspective, we just give our reflections here, and then we'll try to see what are some of the prescriptions that can improve, how things go better. So, Akina, you are welcome to do your opening and, do some high level, and then we can try to get into the weeds and see how we can really have a wonderful discussion for the audience.
Well, first and foremost, to all of those who I interacted with in Liberia, thank you. I can't hear you, Alva. You're going quiet.
I'm
Can
not
you hear me?
speaking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you very clearly.
Okay. To all of those who I visited with, to all of those who I connected with during my trip, I can't hear you, Alva. Are you talking to me?
I'm not talking.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
hearing?
Yeah, no, I saw your mouth moving there, so I thought you were talking to me.
Oh, no, I'm not talking. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, to everyone who I visited with, connected with on my trip, thank you so much for hosting me. Thank you so much for interacting with me. My trip was with my lovely wife, Violetta Phillips, and our son, and we visited a lot of different places. And my focus was mainly to look at economic growth perspectives and seeing everything that's actually happening on the ground. Economically, from the economic perspective, the job creation perspective, and seeing things that are taking place, things that are actually making a difference in the lives of Liberians, and seeing things that are happening from the job creation perspective, seeing things that are happening from the again, like I said, the economic growth perspective. What is the government doing? The measuring the temperature, if I can put it that way, the temperature of the business community as it relates to, the Unity Party government led by Joseph Yuma Boyka and Jeremiah Cohn as vice president. What that new leadership, what kind of environment have they created? What kind of feelings, optimism, pessimism, from the business community, and what that feeling, what has it created in terms of stimulating growth, creating new jobs, creating new opportunities, energizing the business sector, driving the economy forward. What role is LEC playing with the new interim management team, the new 4 positions that were appointed by the president, the new MD, DMDA, DMD technical, and DMD operations? What are those 4 people doing? What is their perspective? What is their outlook? With regards to solving or addressing the dry season electricity issue, and how that strategy will affect Liberian businesses. That's what I really, really wanted to find out, to get into, and not so much to talk to leaders per se, but talk to the common guy on the street, the guy who's actually on the front line, being affected by those policies, by those programs, or the lack thereof. And we drove, like I said, we drove all the way on the Robertsfield Highway. I'm going to send you a video, Ava, and I want you to see, since you're the expert at this thing, I want you to please play this video, if it's possible, from your side, for everyone to be able to see it, because I believe that this video is telling. I believe that this video here is very, very remarkable, and I think it shows. It's a key economic indicator of what is to come and what will come in the coming months or years of Liberia. Let me just forward it over to you. You can then add it to our perspective of discussion. I'm sending it to you on WhatsApp. So that's my perspective. So I really want to talk about those things today and get the diaspora involved, because I strongly believe that the diaspora needs to get involved at this moment, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but the Liberian diaspora business community needs to get involved now. The time is now. There's an urgency of now for Liberians to in the diaspora to get directly involved in their economy and play a major role in the economy, because I think those are the things that would bring the transformation or the level and the degree of transformation that we need, that we seek, that we all hunger for to transform our democracy. Only the economics can transform the politics. This is what I believe. And I'll be sharing all of that today. Over to you, Ava.
Wonderful. Do you want us to share your the offering you just sent me? Because I think it's something
Well,
maybe people
we
can
can
listen.
start with that. We can start with that. Let's
All right.
start with
Well,
let's
before we go, I think you just got a commendation. Somebody thinks your voice, you should be making money from your voice. Um, so I told you, I said, yes, you do have a TV, a radio voice. So yes, you could make money from your commercials too. So hopefully, let's see. Let's share this. I believe we can see that. Let me go
yeah,
back to
so
on the
so
video.
I'm going to
And
narrate.
you want to set this up? You want to set this
Yeah.
up?
So basically, what we did was we drove along the ongoing road construction highway between ERWA roundabout. It's no longer a junction anymore. It's a roundabout now, all the way out to Roberts Field. So there's major construction along the road, making it what they call a double carriage expressway. So there'll be 2 lanes on the left, 2 lanes on the right, with a median in the middle. And my observations along the road was all of the civil construction on both sides of the road going to Roberts Field and coming back from Roberts Field. I also noticed that the LEC had the 66 kV transmission or distribution lines already run with all the different the corresponding substations, which is very, very good. All of that has been built. And then they also have their 22/33 or 35 kV feeders that come from those substations along the road. But what is important on this video is that I couldn't help but to record this because City Builders, one of the major building construction companies, building material supply companies in Liberia, owned by, I think the CEO is Mr. Isai. He also owns a Royal Hotel, along with other companies. He built a magnificent piece of infrastructure along the highway. And this corridor from ELWA roundabout all the way to Roberts Field which encompasses the Doison area, the Boys Town, the Marshall Junction. This new area of you can't help but recognize that there's going to be hundreds of millions of dollars spent in this area on new homes, new businesses, manufacturing, small medium-sized enterprises. Just the need for power, electricity to power all of this up, and the need for building materials to build all of these residential, commercial, and industrial infrastructure that will have to power up the new Liberian economy. So I couldn't help but, videotape this. So I had to record this. So what you're going to be seeing here, everyone, if you haven't seen it, this is the new City Builders facility, or at the, for lack of a better word, putting it at the Marshall Junction. So when you come from Monrovia, you go past the Boys Town, Marshall Junction, you get back on the main road. It's on the right-hand side. So you can play the videotape, Ava. So as you can see it there, that's how big the facility is. We turn in. We turn into it. And you can see it's made up of 3 buildings. That's the LEC power lines above. And you can see how that's the road. That's the roadway. I kind of did a back view to show you the roadway, the transmission lines. It's all cobblestone, driving parking lot. And that's the first building on your right. That's the building on your right. And you can see those are the stores. That's the entire section there. You can see that there is also cell phone towers. BTS is already deployed to accommodate, and that's me driving out of the facility. So that kind of gives you an idea of the building material, building construction, electrical construction material market that is in Liberia. So from that perspective, that segment of the economy, I mean, I drove all the way out to Ricks. They're building material stores. I mean, all the way from Douala, Caldwell Junction, all the way out. We drove from 15 Gate all the way into Red Light. They're building material stores on both sides of the road. We drove all the way from EAWA Roundabout all the way out to Roberts Field, and they're building material stores all the way into Unification Town. So that's a key economic indicator, right? That is a very, very key economic indicator that connects to this $800 million. You remember, we're talking about the remittance, right? We're talking about all of the remittance money that's being sent back to Liberia. So that kind of gives you an idea of where all of this money that's coming into the country, where it's going. It's going into civil construction, building material, building new homes.
And probably gives you an indication of how it's going out too.
How it's also going out, because what goes in must go out.
If a foreigner is getting all this money, he most likely
That's exactly
taking
right.
a lot of it out of the country as well.
That's exactly right.
It's trigger to us as Liberians what direction we should be going in. You know, this guy is giving truth to the word. If you build it, they will come. You know,
if you build it, they will come.
Just to ask you, you mentioned a couple of things, but what couple other big businesses are also starting to crop up over there, right?
That's exactly right. In fact, the other two major competitors, to city builders, is Jetty. So when you come up the junction, you will also see Jetty. Jetty has also strategically positioned his store there. And then Eagle Electrical, another electrical material supply company. And these are all expat foreign-owned companies. And then the smaller ones are the Liberians. So there's a major gap here in this segment. And this is the segment that drives the economy. This is the major segment, because if you look at it from the U.S. perspective, right, we have what? We have Lowe's, we have Home Depot, and in fact, city builders basically took the colors of the Home Depot, the orange and the white. So we've got Lowe's, we've got Home Depot, and then we have Ace Supply. So these three companies on the U.S. side, they drive the home building, home renovation segment of the U.S. economy, which is a major and a key economic indicator. It tells you, the pace of home building, the pace of home repair, the pace of home renovation. So it's no different than on the Liberia side, where you see the electricity grid is now being built along the Roberts Field Highway. And now, after the electricity comes in, the road's being reconstructed. It's being widened. So naturally, you will have greater access to all of those properties, real estate along that road. So there's going to be a major need to feed that building construction and infrastructure growth. And the only way you can feed it, you can supply it, you can meet it, is with what? Industrial electrical, residential electrical, and commercial electrical supply. And then you've got all of the plumbing needs. Then you've got all of the electrical needs. Then you have all of the masonry needs, all of the roofing sheets, the sidings, the plywood, the 2x2, the 2x4. So all of those things are major aspects of the economy, right? That is being, exploited, not in a negative way, but in a very positive way. And you see that this segment is one of the fastest growth segment of the Liberian economy today. So,
and that's that's one of the things that I think really Liberians should consider, right? Because home ownership is very important. Really laying up the land, having clear ownership of every piece of property in this country, and doing a cadastral, which falls that responsibility rests with the Liberian Land Authority, is necessary. The LRA has interest in people with homes, people with buildings, people on property, because from a tax perspective and income from government, over the last few years, it has averaged at $5.3 million. That's nothing in terms of the real potential of real estate taxes in our country. And because those buildings are not identified, even I can share video from our, drone work. When you see Marshall Highway and you see the full 5-story building, I will try to find out if I can get it from George to Sherry. It's amazing how much money we could really have in our economy, in our country. But unfortunately, we are not really on top of how we as Liberians should function. That's why I'm admiring the people who are trying to get into this sector too, right? I met a young Liberian guy who has brought in a cement mixing machine. He wants to do blocks. Eventually, he wants to get into the importation or manufacturing, especially those things that we have natural resources to produce for a building. Whether it's plastic blocks, whether it's the briquettes that right now Maurice Dugba with what they call group Liberia is producing. So the opportunities for us to impact this whole real estate structure is real, and we have to find ways to get into it. And that's one of the areas where we have now formed the corporation, the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund, to be able to invest in Liberia and to invest in Liberian entrepreneurs as well. We have gotten an offering from a young Liberian himself, Alpha, Tonga, to help grow the same thing you can do, and hopefully you will want to be a part of that in terms of helping to mentor some of these small businesses, like a direct relationship, encourage them, teach them, and being able to incubate them for a certain length of time. Incubation means to put you in a little situation where you are learning, expected to get, to certain level, and then be able to scale up. And so that's the whole idea that we as Liberians, should be thinking of. And I'm glad to some extent, like we're saying, we're comparing notes from my perspective, being on the ground for a little while and being able to attend the Ministry of Commerce's trade conference and fair. I got an insight into some of what they're doing, and it holds a lot of potential. And I was just impressed to see the number of Liberian businesses, not just people selling, but people producing and being able to, for some of them, get it outside of Liberia, to sell. So I was very impressed with it. I was able to stick around for a little bit and get a glimpse into the pitch competition. This young guy, I think the first name is Luther Jeke, with iLab or iCampus. They were doing the program hosting and facilitation, and they did the pitch competition, just his engagement with the young people and how he was really supportive. And then later on in the evening program, again, they participated. So there's a lot on the horizon. People now have to start thinking, what area can I go in as an entrepreneur and be able to make a difference for myself, for my family, and for the people who I'll be providing services for? Because there is a boom coming, it is going to happen, and we hope it happens under this administration. It will not be slowed down, but Liberians are becoming, more entrepreneur oriented. We don't want handouts anymore. More people want for them to earn their own living, for them to get what they deserve. And we are all Liberians. Our country is bountiful, and we deserve to get what we want from our country. It shouldn't be only. We don't have a problem with foreigners thriving in our country, foreigners doing business in our country, because we too have come to other countries and taking the benefits of those countries, but it shouldn't be to the exclusion of Liberians. And that's why when we talk about the liberalization policy and, it benefiting Liberians to the maximum, and those foreigners who are in the space of the liberalization circle, they need to transition them out. They need to find a way for them to get out, to go and to do something else. And it's not about hate or anything. It's just about, if you dedicate something to your people, let them benefit from it. So the responsibility again comes to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to try to teach Liberians up, to try to get Liberian opportunities in those sectors that they are supposed to be in. So we do have a lot of work to do, but with optimism, I can say a lot of efforts have been made. A lot of young Liberians are interested in being entrepreneurs. They're working towards it. Some of them already have their companies. Some of them already are producing, valuable products and stuff. So it's just about how can we scale up? How can we expand what they are doing? And, we can have some of those discussions about that.
You bring up some very, very interesting points. I see Robert Azango here is asking. He said that let me just read his comment. He said, "We see that electricity expansion is rapidly developing. Can both or one of you, where is it here? Can both or one of you touch on water and sewer role or plan to address this rapid expansion as Liberians can expect to always dig wells in their backyards and septic?" Very good point. So again, I always look at things from the business perspective, right? So one of the things that I've noticed on my travels over the past week or so across Monrovia, Liberia, there is that the technology, Liberians are adapting to the technology. What do I mean by that? So Robert mentioned the issue of water and sewer. Okay, so water and sewer are two different things. So you got clean water, you got dirty water. Dirty water comes from the sewer after you've used the clean water, right? It comes from the well. So now, as you know, Alva, you've done some projects yourself where you had to get a contractor to do a borehole. Am I correct? To do a borehole. So instead of digging a well, the technology has now advanced to what doing the same well, but now it's called a borehole. And then you get a submersible pump, and you can integrate solar technology with a poly tank that's made locally. Elevate that poly tank to 20 feet, 30 feet off the ground, and you can have gravity pressure to bring running water into your house for clean water. That's number one. So now the question now becomes whether or not Liberia Water and Sewer is going to be innovative enough. That's the key now, right? Because we're talking about economic growth and expansion here. So and you cannot grow economically, you cannot expand from the revenue side, right? Until you can adapt. You must adapt, and you must be able to bring in new technologies that will help you to increase your revenue and your market share. So if water and sewer is able to adapt into investing into more trucks that can do boreholes, then they can pick up all the contracts from all of these new residential commercial facilities that are being built. You get my point, okay? So if they can pick up the contract.
Yeah, no, I do get your point. And the question he asked is a very important question. I will specifically address that question to Mo Ali to get a real answer from the management of water and sewer.
LWSC, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. But what he's saying is right. But we need our public works to be able to share with these new communities that are developing what the alleys are. Right? So that people cannot build in the alleys. What's the plan for, utility in collaboration with water and sewer and LEC? Yes, LEC, you can see the visibility, you see the wires running, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of people like Marshall right now, everybody is individual, like he's saying, they got to put, it's not necessary for the borehole well coupled with the solar technology, and being able to utilize water for irrigation. That's all wonderful. But it's mainly for the rural areas in my mind, right? It's more applicable to them. It's really helpful. in the urban area, we got to do urban planning, whether it's the city helping with water and sewer and, the Ministry of Public Works all involved in it to make sure that we can really have laid out cities, we can have well planned utilities situation implemented, that people just have to hook into the main trunk or the main system within a district. So there's a lot of things. And, I must be, transparent in that I am consulting with USAID for helping water and sewer do their strategic planning. And some of these thoughts are on the table, but it will be good for Mo Ali to himself to say what it is, because it's just not only one or two areas. It could be a national thing if there is growth, because water is a necessity.
Let me expand on that, right? Let me expand on that, so that will kind of maybe add to what you're looking to do with USAID and then supporting the LWSC. One of my major observations, everybody can write this down, and you can also you probably saw it as yourself. The pace of infrastructure, right? Infrastructure development. When I say infrastructure, meaning in terms of civil construction, from residential home, commercial buildings, industrial buildings, along the Robertsfield Highway, along the red light to Mount Barclay, red light to Kakata Highway, Caldwell Junction to Ricks to Virginia area. The pace of this residential, commercial, industrial infrastructure build out is faster. Okay, this is the key. It is faster. This thing is moving so fast that the government services of what? Of LWSC, Liberia Water and Sewer, and the LEC. I mean, if you look at it like this, the pace of the infrastructure development for residential, commercial, and industrial buildings is 20 miles or maybe 100 miles ahead of the LEC and water and sewer. That's the gap. That is the gap. And the reason why this gap is like this is simply because of one word, right? Decentralization. LWSC and LEC have not yet adopted decentralization as a means or as a way of engaging with all of these these rapidly developing economic zones. And that is the other thing that I noticed. The other thing that my wife and I noticed along the trip, and she kept saying, wow, so this whole area of Mount Barclay and this whole area of Pacopin, this whole area of this whole area of Iron Gate, Bonja, Banjo, all the city is breaking up into communities and basically economic zones. So to have a centralized water supply is almost like here in Houston. When you come to Houston and you go to the rural area, one thing you'll notice is that every subdivision has its own water supply. You got maybe 1,200 homes being built. And then those 1,200 homes, you go to one part of the subdivision and you will see that it's all fenced off. And it's a well that's being dug with the pressure tanks that feeds all of those homes. And then the metering system for all of those homes are integrated within that water well system. You get my point? So it's decentralized. And then they have a company whose job it is to manage that for profit, right? Where the revenue share, where the water is then metered and then fed to the homes. So this is the key. Decentralization for LEC and decentralization for LWSC can help to mitigate that, because like your point you just mentioned, get with the community, demarcate the alleys where people don't build in the alleys. And then once that entity LWSC, right, and then LEC is local within that area, they can then mitigate, address the demands, the needs from the water perspective and from the electricity perspective, putting in new meters, putting in new lines, putting in new transformers, and then also digging new wells or doing a central water system, as Azango is asking, and then run the pipe, right? Run the water mains along the alleys. That's your point. Because if people build in the alleys, then you don't have the right of way to run your water lines, to put your power lines. The power lines are meant to be built and constructed for everybody along the alleys. So when people build in the alleys, what they've done, they've obstructed development for everybody in the community. So when you decentralize the services and you bring those services closer to the people, then people can actively engage with the service provider to address issues, to identify the challenges at the local level. And that is one of the things that I saw. I was amazed at the pace of growth. I mean, people are building so rapidly that even LEC can't even keep up. They're building so rapidly that LWSC can't even keep up. That's why everybody is, to Azango's point, they build their house, they fence it in, and then they dig a well. Then they do with their own water supply for only their area. Then maybe somebody will come and do a community well that everybody who doesn't have the ability to dig a well comes to. So if you decentralize it, then you can kind of get the community together, identify where the most amicable location should be for the well, and then you can have development that is in a more organized way. Because from what I saw, not from the negative perspective, from the positive perspective, is that Liberia is going through a boom. That, let there be no room for doubt. Let nobody doubt. Whoever is listening to this program today, don't think for any minute that Liberia is stagnated. No, this country is on the move. This country is on the move economically, infrastructurally. I mean, Syncor is not what Syncor used to be anymore. You got more buildings.
You know what shocked me? Typically, all stores, when a small shop can be off the main road in our whole
exactly right. That's exactly right.
I think it's 14th Street or so. I saw a Chinese store, food shop with chicken and stuff.
I bought food from that place, right? Yes.
I was shocked.
And the interesting thing about that place, right? The other thing that's interesting, right? The other thing that's very interesting, you can see the effect of electricity in the cost of food.
It's stark.
Exactly right. If you compare the cost of fast food 5 years ago to the cost of fast food today, my son wanted to eat noodles, right? Shrimp la mein. So we saw the place, we stopped, went in, I placed the order. Very, very nicely packaged. Very, very nice customer service. And again, the fintech technology is all integrated. You had the in fact, let me send it over to you so you can put it up. I took pictures of the place so you can put it up for everybody so they can see.
You took picture of the Chinese place?
Took picture of the Chinese place because again,
I was really shocked when I saw this stuff. I said, and you can see it's an improvement over the typical small shop that's
exactly right.
And that makes a difference. The lighting, the way the facility is structured, and that's where we need to find opportunities for Liberians to elevate themselves in business like that.
Liberians need to wake up. They need to wake up.
We do.
I just sent it over to you. Please put it up for everybody to see. So now Lone Star, MTN, and Orange have now integrated fintech in a major way, so your business can now have no different than Zelle or Cash App, right? Or Square, where you can register your business with a POS and you get your own QR code to scan for payment. Okay?
George is about to come on as soon as he can get his image together, his picture.
Okay.
We'll add him to the show. But in the meantime, let me share the screen. Let me get
Yeah, shit, yeah. Put that up for everybody to see. So I mean, the food was under. It was under. I mean, when I compared it, that's the POS. That's the point of
right.
sale. You can scan and make your payment. You have the Chinese restaurant, their MTN mobile money POS payment number right there. It's right up for the public. You come in, you place your order, and you just scan it, and it takes it right out of your bank account or your mobile money account, and the payment is made. And I think the second picture is basically the backdrop of the. There it is. That's the lady who waited on me. I told her to please stand there. Let me take a picture of it. And I mean, first class. It is right there in Syncor. It's right there in Syncor. Phone numbers right there. And most of these places, and the other exciting thing is, we were at a hotel, a guest house, where we stayed in Central Town on Camp Johnson Road, also owned by a Liberian, great location. And my son wanted to eat, I think he wanted to eat pizza or something that night. So we called, they brought the menu, diner restaurant, right? We ordered, and the guys are now using the pen riders to deliver. So, I mean,
they're doing that. They've been doing that. They got, I think, Cook Shop delivers. There's another place, I got it in my phone. I can't remember the number. They do midnight deliveries. You can order food all the way to Marshall. They will deliver.
That's what I'm saying. This is my point. What I'm saying is the economy is integrating itself. There's a transformation that's taking place. Why? Because the diaspora is having an effect. The quality of life is improving. And this is where we Liberians in the diaspora need to find our place. We need to find our place in our economy, you know. And the other thing that also, and like when I came back, I called you also, Abba, and I was telling you also, one of the big things Liberians need to realize is that all of the noise, that loud sound that drowns out everything else economically that's taking place, okay, from the politics, the noise from the politics, I'm not saying it's not important now, but the noise from the politics drowns out positive economic growth opportunities on the ground.
Right. But let's bring in George. George, how you doing?
Go ahead, George. Hey, George, how are you? Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Akena, I was not going to call in this morning, but then
what did I say to provoke you?
Hold on. You started talking about pace, okay? And so for the pace of development, the pace of growth, and the fact that the utilities don't seem to be able to keep up. Just in the last few days, I was writing about Rwanda when they put together their 8.5 megawatt solar plant in a place called Asahogo Shalom. And it took them only 6 months from the day they signed the contract to the day they had lights.
What I've always been saying about solar, rapid deployment.
So I'm hearing you say this, right? And I'm saying this is right up the alley for communities like Marshall. But let's take it one step further. What if the folks at LEC could innovate and say, because we took some drone photos of the same highway, the Robertsfield Highway, and in one of the shots alone, we counted 15 mid-rise buildings, meaning buildings of 3+ stories or more. Okay, those buildings require power. So what if LEC was innovative and said, listen, if you're going to build a mid-rise building, we will put up this 10 megawatt solar plant. Just to back up a second, the Ellen administration signed an MOU with Gigawatt Solar or Global in 2016 to build a 10 gigawatt a 10 megawatt plant after
Mhm.
Ellen returned from Rwanda.
Mhm.
The MOU is still out there. It's even on the executive mansion's website. Okay, that was never executed. But here's my thing. What if LEC decided, you know what? If you're going to build a mid-rise building, then a part of the cost of that building is for you to add solar panels to the grid in your area to support that building.
Okay.
No,
That way,
it's a legitimate good idea.
that
I mean,
way,
it's something
that
we
way the
consider.
growth can keep up. You know, because if you look at these mid-rise buildings, they will be the ones consuming most of the electricity. I'm talking about buildings with 16 apartments in them.
Mhm.
They will be the ones consuming most of the electricity. It's not simply a matter of whether or not they can afford to pay for the electricity. It's a matter of we need to expand the grid. The easiest way to expand the grid is to drop these solar plants throughout the country.
Okay.
And
Can,
look,
can,
we
can
have
I,
a concept. Not
can
to
I come in?
interrupt. All right, go ahead. Then I'll go after.
Let me come in. Okay. Like I said earlier, right? Like I said earlier, one of the challenges that has gripped the services side of the services side of our government, right? Be it from the water and sewer side or from the LEC side. So one of the things that excites me about LEC today, okay, one of the things that has really excited me about LEC today, as I move to answer your point there, George, is that the 4 people who were appointed that make up the interim management team at LEC, all 4 of them are electrical engineers. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that excites me about the interim management team, the future, the direction. The folks who make up from the managing director to the DMDA to the DMDO to the DMD technical, all 4 of them are electrical engineers. So now we have technically competent people, experienced people in the leadership of LEC, which will play a very, very critical role, right, in catching up with this infrastructure development pace that's taking place in the country. Because where we go from here is 100% dependent on LEC. I mean, let there be no doubt. Every area of the economy right now, every area, all 3 zones of Monrovia that's rapidly growing, infrastructurally and economically, depends on the pace that LEC can move at to catch up. Now, the other word that needs to answer your question is innovation. Innovation. I stayed at my mother-in-law's house on Dupont Road. My wife and I, we stayed there for the whole time that we were splitting between Central Town and her house. They have a solar plant in their yard. They built a car park that's elevated where they park the cars under, and that entire car park is their solar. I mean, they've got all their panels up there and their lithium batteries back up. It powers up their house. They've got an automatic transfer switch. Once LEC goes off, it switches over to LEC. It switches over to the batteries. It charges in the day and discharges at night. Okay? And then vice versa. So your point is valid. The question now is, also I noticed all of these guys who were selling solar panels. I saw a whole bunch of different individual solar companies, solar hardware companies. They're selling panels, they're selling batteries, inverters. They can even do a contract. But the challenge with solar, as you know, George, the upfront cost, the upfront capex investment is very high. So the challenge is that the market doesn't have the level of innovation to understand that you can make more money by cutting what we call a power purchase agreement at the residential level Why can't a private company come over to the guy who's building the tall building and say, look, I will take your top roof. I will take the real estate on the top. I will put in the solar. I will put in the batteries, meter it. You can take LEC as your backup, but then if LEC goes off, you buy the power from me. And then, oh, by the way, all the tenants in your building, I want to sell the power to them. Why does it have to be LEC? Why does it have to be LEC? Why can't it not be?
It doesn't have to be. You're very right. It doesn't have to be.
You can look it up online while you're there. But the company, one of my customers I'm trying to engage with right now, they're called Sunrun. They're here in the U.S. They're the largest solar utility. Sunrun, Sunrun, and that's what they do. They come over to your house.
You talking about Sunrun?
Sunrun.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Sunrun. Well, one of my men works with them. He's the area director in this.
That's exactly. Area. That's all they do. Sunrun is the largest solar utility in the U.S. And all they do, they come over to your house, they compare your energy rates. They don't ask you for any money up front. You sign a power purchase agreement. You agree on the energy rate, and they come and they put the solar panels on your roof. They put the batteries in your garage. They integrate the solar with your utility. They give you free nights and weekends. And guess what? When you're not using the solar, just what George said, they backfeed the power to the grid.
To the grid, exactly.
Right.
So but the key here is the lack of innovation. That's what it is.
So Elkanah, hold on. Mm-hmm. Because Sunrun, they stole my idea. Okay.
That's a discussion for a different show.
No, but seriously, ask Isaac. A long time ago, when I say a long time ago, almost 5-10 years ago, I had this idea called Rooftop Solar Incorporated, where we would literally rent the roofs of people in Liberia and put in the solar. Now, the business plan wasn't developed or anything like that, but that's now exactly what these guys are doing.
Yes.
That's exactly what they're doing.
But before we shift, I just want to talk about this whole land business and the way construction is going on. So we did some areas for some of our customers, and we just share, one of them. I can't find the one that actually identified the property, but I will just show your overall for a second with, that we were doing just to show George wanted to find out the area around his mom's property and everything like that. And then we show the highway, but it would not be as identified as we did with some of these different buildings here. So if we go to this window and share here, so if people can see all these different markers, the red and the yellow, the really high-rise buildings. But if you look at how the city is, and this from the Cinco side, it's not really well laid out. But you can see the amount of buildings that are out here, and even if you look far out, you can see the potential for taxation in this area. You can see the potential for solar power in these areas. You can see all the rooftops. I mean, like this gray roof right here, where the cursor is, it looks like there's 1 or 2 solar panels on the top, but I don't know. But if we go back to another building that I saw earlier, I think there's a whole bunch of solar, probably this one right here. I don't know if there's a solar top under it. Like,
zoom in.
Yeah, if I try to zoom in, it's maximum zoom right now. But right
that's all solar, like Akina talked about his mother-in-law's place. That's all solar covering the parking level.
Exactly. Yes. So the similar thing can happen. We have this discussion. I will share with you folks the whole thing about and all of this is opportunities for Liberian installers, and that's one thing we got to come. We got to Liberianize these kind of advancements. Liberian project managers, Liberian installers, Liberian solar experts and stuff like that. They have to be involved in these projects because they are all opportunities. Now, if we go on the highway, you can see the amount of construction that's out here. You can see the spacing here and know that they all do construction. but you can still see the opportunity for solar. And then the stuff we talk about municipal utilities,
water, yeah,
water, electricity is missing. Everybody will basically have to do their own
independent,
well,
independent grid, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So again, what we're talking about here, guys, I understand the private industry needs to do a lot of this stuff. But in terms of sequestering land for utilities, for say the plant in Rwanda was 52 acres, right? Somebody has to sequester that land. Okay, the government is the only one that has the power of eminent domain that says we have to take this land to build something for the community.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so the government, we as much as we want to do it, without government, you can't force people to do things. The question of people building willy-nilly in the alleys and all of that, that's a government regulatory problem. And if government doesn't work, Marshall will end up looking just like Monrovia.
Yes. But in some cases, I'm happy some people are stepping up. I will give an example. Even though he was wrong, a lady I'm building a house for in Zion Town, right, ELWE there, he accused us of building in the alley. We're not building in the alley, but it's right. When you are in a community and you think somebody is doing the wrong things, take it to the authorities. He took it to Public Works for them to do the investigation, but I believe he'll be wrong because ultimately
he's in the alley.
He's in the alley. We did the analysis. His fence is in the alley, But then also the city of Painesville came to the location because we only submitted, the drawings and the designs and everything to Public Works. So the city of Painesville sent their own people now with this construction. So I hope they're doing it with every construction that going on because you are supposed to submit your construction to the city.
It has to be permitted.
Analysis. Yes. In order to get a permit and everything like that. But because naturally sometimes you think they're not functional, you just go ahead and start building. But hopefully more people can start to understand Isaac, that for the city to function, for the country to function, we got to do things the right way.
But Isaac, this is where services like what we offer with drone services can help the cities.
That's true.
They can't send people out there every single day.
No,
but we could literally go out there every 3 months and say, listen, this is what's going on. This is what has happened since the last time we did this aerial survey. And so they can get their people on it.
And we got technology that can compare different surveys. Like, let's say 1 month ago we did this and 2 months later, we come to this. So in a 3 month span, the differentiation between the first image and the second image can be shown, and by artificial intelligence. So all those things are possible, and manpower then can be started to be developed to be doing the analysis rather than doing the physical walking to the location and looking at the stuff. So
this is what I said, guys. There are services like I think the leadership, government needs to understand the pace, PACE, the pace, the speed. If they don't understand pace, let's use the word speed. The rapid speed of the infrastructure growth, residential, commercial, and industrial buildings is outpacing, is outrunning the government's ability to respond to it. Right. And that's why it's important. The best way for government to solve it, right, to meet that pace, right, is to decentralize. Instantly come over to the Boys Town, Marshall area, set up an area where everybody, like you said, everybody who's building here, you got to come and register your deed. Use Lone Star Orange broadband connection, tie it back to the server, recognize and identify that you can't be everywhere, physically sending people on the ground, so that the services that you offer can be integrated. It doesn't have to be paid for by the city, but the city can use it and say, look, in order for you to build, you are going to have to pay $25 or $30 for the drone service to come and do the picture and everything else. And so you pass on the cost. That's what businesses do. You got to be, and that's what I'm saying. The level of creativity is not there. You see, because we always think that there's a cost, and so the government has to pay for it, and everybody gets afraid. But there's a way, right? You got to be real innovative with it, so that the cost is passed on to the home builder, and then the home builder needs to be educated. You don't want the risk of investing your money in building something, and then you build at the wrong place, and you're going to lose all your money that you paid for your blocks and your foundation and everything else, because then all of a sudden you got no paperwork to back it up. So the best thing you do, precaution. Pay for the drone service, get your deed registered, make sure you're in the right location geographically before you start building. So you get all your I's dotted and all your T's across. You see, and this is what I recommend. Without a doubt, you look at the drone photos you put up, things are springing out of the ground, but there's no innovation there. There's no innovation. There's no management of the growth. And when you have unmanaged growth,
you're right. And that's where, somebody had asked earlier, is government prepared for this growth? And are they facilitating it? To some extent, it's happening.
This is what they call organic growth. This is organic growth. The thing is,
yes, it's happening. But if government were to step in, it could make it so much better.
And my concern is, listen, all of the people, those of us that came here after 1980, we are all approaching retirement age.
Yeah.
Okay? That means there's a tremendous opportunity or a tremendous pool of Liberians who could literally go to Liberia with their Social Security and pump that money into the Liberian economy. Okay? But they're not coming, one, if they have to fight for their own property, B, if growth is out of control, if the LEC mandated in, they will not have electricity for more than 8. What did he say? No.
We got to talk about that with Elkina.
No community will be out of electricity for more than 8 hours. I don't want to be out of electricity for 1 hour.
1 hour.
Okay.
So it may sound good. No, George, for Liberia is progress though, because for some people they order electricity for days. So
but if you're going to bring that whole economic base of retirees from Liberia, 8 hours is not the standard.
No, it's not. That's why the substitute or of solar or the participation of solar in the whole electricity sector, that explosion is going to happen, I believe. But I wanted to address a question that somebody had talked about. Barton had asked. He says, because Liberia's economy and its systems are schizophrenic, we don't know if we are a capitalist nation with a market economy or if we want to nationalize like a communist country. No, Barton, we're not a communist country. We are a market economy, even though we don't operate perfectly in terms of how goods and services are priced based on just the individuals and the businesses, or government is limited to only regulation and protection of quote unquote property rights, which is not happening yet. We still have a lot of problem with property rights, and we still have a lot of problem with fair competition and government facilitating the involvement of Liberians, but every characteristic of what they call it, of a market economy is there. We got private properties, everybody own their own thing basically. There's a voluntary exchange. They're not forcing you to engage in a transaction you don't want to. There's some level of competition, in terms of what we do and stuff, like how he was saying, what they Easter Eat and that city builders facility over there across the street, on Jetty and his own people, they try to compete with him. So competition is there. But we got some challenges because our institutions that we were just talking about, the provision of municipal services, how it's limited. Then the government itself, in terms of how it monitor the market and how it regulates it.
A regulatory framework is not there.
You're right. And then the informal sector is so huge. We're not doing a lot to formalize it. We talked about technology, right? If we could push mobile payments, that everybody with a cell phone is fully identified, every payment is done, electronically. You can tax anybody riding keke. Anybody riding keke or pimping. You
Boss
can
man,
tax it because every transaction is being processed.
I
And
don't
we
like
do
the
depend on exports.
I don't like the use of this word, informal sector. And the reason I don't like it is a lazy way of saying we don't know who the people are.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is.
No, not
Okay.
necessarily.
Listen, Isaac, hold on. Let me land.
All
The
right,
people,
finish.
the
Then
guy who
I will
the
go.
guy who sells hot dogs in Federal Triangle, he has a tax ID number.
Right.
Okay, meaning he's a street food seller. He has a tax ID number. The fact
Okay.
is that we have not identified every person in the country.
Yeah,
Until
but
we do that, they will always be informal because
okay, I
i.e.
can agree with
they are
that point.
transacting commerce, and we don't know what they're doing.
But even if we identify everybody, right? If people
Hmm.
choose not to identify in the system, and we don't have the ability
But you can't
to monitor
choose,
them and bring them in, they will still have informal
boss man.
activities going on. So
Isaac,
you
and you literally just said, if we can go with mobile money, if you identify me and you identify my cell phone number, you can also identify every transaction that I make.
That's
At
exactly
some
right.
point, you can run a report and say, George, you claim that you don't work, but guess what? We see that you transacted $60,000 worth of business in the first 3 months. That's why we have those systems.
right, and
Again,
it's after the fact, but that what you see is still way beyond like the informal sector. You know, but yes, the opportunity for identification or and be able to track all transactions is there. But government has to take that step to do it. If they don't do it, we waste
The
our
thing is
time.
this, right? One of the things I've also noticed on the trip, right? One of the things I've noticed is we're kind of talking about it, but we're on the fringes. Let me just throw it out there. One of the challenges for us in Liberia, from the economic side point of view, government has not yet, or we have not yet identified or broken our economy into sectors. You and I were talking about that yesterday. When you compare 5 years ago to today, the number of hotels, motels, and guest houses, that's a massive sector of the Liberian economy.
exactly.
It's a tremendous amount of jobs. You look at all the toiletries it uses, the amount of electricity it uses, the amount of broadband internet services it uses. That's a massive sector. The restaurants associated with each of the guest houses, the restaurants, the hotels, motels, that's a massive sector of the economy. So one of the things that I think, you look at the city now in all three zones, right? I look at it as zones, going out to Brewerville, going out to
Marshall.
Marshall, and then going through Marshall's almost like the spin-off, right? Because you go into Robertsfield, you kind of veer right? The Marshall zone and then the Robertsfield zone. All of these sectors, one of the other things that kind of hit me also, like I was telling you about, is the number of vocational training schools. In the U.S., we call people from the vocational training school area, we call them our blue-collar workers, right? Am I right, George?
Right.
We call them blue-collar workers. And the other thing that struck me is the number of vocational training schools that are popping up, being established all across the area, because why? There is a massive need for these vocational trained people, from plumbing to masonry to carpentry to electrician to IT, okay, and solar installers, however you measure it, to meet the growing pace of demand in the residential, commercial, and industrial sector.
So yeah, okay,
So,
George, go ahead. God, I know you want
yeah.
to talk about that sector.
No, so Akina, here's what I always say. Every problem Liberia faces has been solved somewhere in the world before. Nothing about what we are doing is unique. Okay.
You're exactly right. You're
Okay.
right.
If you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics here, and we do have a Bureau of Labor Statistics in Liberia, right? They have industrial codes for businesses when they register. They have that. When you form a business, if you go into contract with the federal government, you have to list the type of services you are going to provide.
And that's
All of
happening
those
now, but some people fighting it.
All of those
With
services are
PPCC.
tracked. Okay, all of those services are tracked. Isaac, it's happening now but the integration into the larger data infrastructure of the country
It's lacking.
isn't
Totally
there.
Lacking.
Yes,
That's exactly
I
right.
agree.
Yeah.
So,
I agree.
we could use that data from new business registrations and make a forecast and say how many plumbers will we need, how many drone pilots will we need in the next 5 years, and then we can target the vocational schools to develop those people.
Right, because
Okay,
a lot
but
of
we
them
need
are just
data to
how
do
to
it.
bake cake, how to make tada. We need to get more substantive vocational, skilled Liberians than just tada and cake and baking and stuff like that. Yes, those
But
things are necessary,
we
but we need
need an
more.
integration of the public data sector.
That's why we say we are
Government in Liberia,
data-driven society. We don't even
government in
know the
Liberia right
benefits of
now is a series of individual ministries working on their own.
silos.
You know,
Yes.
let me make a point here. There's a guy called Victor Logan. He said that he said no Liberian government in our lifetime and the next will be able to address all of these issues. These are not issues, right?
No.
These are what we call opportunities. These are opportunities. And like I was telling Ava, okay, one of the other big things I noticed, the number of mini split air conditioning units.
Mm-hmm.
You're going out to Banjo, you go all four zones, right? The four zones, all of the buildings being built, the number of AC units, air conditioning units being put on there, being installed, is rapidly increasing. And this is where the challenge is for LEC.
Mm-hmm.
Because every AC unit you install increases the demand on LEC for power.
Right.
And
so
then
even the regulation, right?
I don't know.
I don't know
why. No, George. I don't know why Victor is being Victor. These things can be addressed.
Right. But
blacks. Let's start with identification. Let's identify everybody.
You got to identify the things first before you develop a solution for it.
All payments will be electronic.
But I cannot.
This is an immediate change.
I cannot. Okay, so let me have LEC here. Pass a rule that all air conditioners sold in the country have to meet a certain efficiency standard.
There you go.
Okay, boom. They have to meet a certain efficiency standard to reduce, even if it reduces the reliance on the grid, the demand by 5%. That's a big percentage.
Impact.
I agree. I agree. Even that's the how you call it, the LERC. That's the Regulatory Commission.
The Electricity Regulatory Commission, right?
But the reason I brought that up, George, was to highlight the fact that on this issue of pace and the speed, and you mentioned the solar grid. I've always been saying this about solar. The reason why I talk about solar in the way that I do is because solar power technology has one defining effect that all of the other aspects of energy production doesn't have. It's called rapid deployment. Rapid deployment. You can deploy solar very, very rapidly, like you just.
Let me put it in Liberian. Let me put it in Liberian parlance for you.
Let me put
it in Liberian parlance for you. Anyway, you put it that I play air.
That's it. So
okay. That's the flexibility of using solar. I mean, that's exactly Yamantang, I got nothing. We went there, we implemented our model, and we had electricity there on the farm. It's just that we need to expand it more, maybe to get it into the town itself. But everywhere
that's the distribution side. That's the distribution side.
Because you reduce the need to run wires over long distances. You literally put the power exactly where it's needed.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's talk about Victor. Why don't we just start doing some of them? Why don't they get the identification straight? Why wouldn't we get the address system? Even if it's a virtual address system, let's get it straight. Can't we get our emergencies straight? We can say Orange, Lone Star, Liptelco. This 4-digit number, 9111, is the number for emergency. Everybody can dial this number. and we're using what the words code. Everybody will do
but hang on, Isaac.
area identification. Go ahead.
Isaac, every cell phone has the ability to transmit location.
Yeah.
There you go.
Every cell phone. So finding the people is not the problem.
It's not a problem.
Is having a central way for them to reach you to say, I have a problem.
Facebook should not be our emergency system. That's what it is today. Oh, fire yell. They're going live and looking at the fire yell. It can be better, Victor. You know,
Okay.
just in general.
So the LNP and the National Security Agency, they have to set up a national communication, emergency communication center. Right now, it's not there.
Doesn't
Listen,
exist.
listen. The people at the LNP don't even have high-speed internet. They don't. So where does communication center be now?
But it's not impossible for them to develop it. That's why
Well,
Victor
but
is
we're
trying to say
small.
that it's
Akina,
not.
do you
Yeah.
know that there is a terminus
Mhm.
for dark fiber at the Capitol building that's been there since 2012?
Mhm.
From the center dome, because me, I like measurement business.
Mhm.
From the center dome of the Capitol to the
Mhm.
center of the LNP headquarters
Mhm.
is 743 feet.
Mhm. Less than 1,000 feet.
Right. Okay. So them turning on fiber at the National Police headquarters, they could do in 2 weeks.
Mhm.
The pipe is already there. So I listened to Victor and I understand his frustration. Okay. And I wrote something today. I said Liberia is the land of can't.
Mhm.
CANT.
Well, and you know the reason why,
we
and you
can't
know
do
the
it.
reason why. You know, somebody.
But Victor, when Victor said we are complaining, Victor, we offer solutions for everything we talk about. We don't just talk.
Leave Victor alone. Victor's a trying
Victor
attention. Leave
trying
him
to
alone.
be an excuse
Yeah.
giver yet. We offer solutions for everything we talk about. And for me personally, everything I talk about, I think today, right now, I do have a small business in that direction that can provide the solution if the opportunity is created.
Victor, let me
It
have
has
you
to be
small.
facilitated.
Do you know how much money the government of Liberia spends on scratch cards? Do you know?
Don't open that can of worms.
We're small. Do you know that only 55% of the internet of the high-speed cable is only 45% of the internet cable capacity is allocated for use among the 3 companies in the country. We are sitting on 55% unused capacity. So capacity is not a problem. But Alkena, you can help me here because sometimes I'll be stupid when I wake up in the morning, right?
Mhm.
Let me ask you. Suppose we set up voice over IP at all of the major government agencies. Wouldn't we be able to get rid of scratch cards?
It's not that you will be able to get rid of scratch cards. What you will do,
You limit the
is
use.
you will significantly reduce. Okay, so the point you just brought up, right? Liptelco. Let's go on that side again. Okay, so there's one of the other things I noticed. Liptelco, which is the
National carrier.
the national operator. Okay, the national operator has lost its way. They've lost their way. And like I said, the difference between Liptelco and LEC for me right now is that the 4 people appointed by the president are technically competent engineers, electrical engineers at LEC who are exchanging ideas, exchanging views in their various capacities to address the challenges of LEC, even if they, like I was saying to someone, go from reducing power outage from 18 hours a day to 16 hours a day, from 16 hours to 14 hours, from 14 hours to 12 hours, from 12 hours to 8 hours, from 8 hours to 4, from 4 to 0, and then you sustain it where you're never out of power. It's an incremental, it's an incremental decrease, right? Where you're addressing the demand issue, you're addressing your distribution issue, because now you got competent people who can sit and debate and deliberate on those matters at that level. You get my point? Okay.
Absolutely. Talk about Liptelco.
Let's go to Liptelco. So Who's there to address the technical issues when it comes to connectivity?
And the vision.
Why should government offices be connected on Orange or Lone Star MTN? Why? Explain that to me.
But here's
12 to 14 tower sites across the city. Broadband infrastructure technology today is significantly less than what it was 5 and 10 years ago.
But here's my thing, right, Akina? Let's get Liptelco out of the cellular business. Just get them out.
Well,
okay?
the thing
Wait,
is,
no, hear me out. Just hear me out, and I may be wrong.
Go ahead.
Let's get them out of the cellular business and let them become a purchaser of bulk cellular services for the government. So they can go to Orange, they can go to MTN and say, we want 500,000 cellular minutes this year. But we're not paying money. But we're not paying. Wait a minute. We're not going to pay you money. What we're going to do is we're going to exchange our excess fiber capacity for those 500 minutes. You familiar with Mint Mobile in America?
I understand. Mint Mobile, all of those companies, what we call their MVNO, their mobile virtual network operator. They're only
right. So Mint doesn't have any. Like you said, they're virtual, right?
They're virtual.
Mint is bring your own device. But Mint buys its service from T-Mobile. They buy the excess minutes from T-Mobile. Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire from Mint.
Oh man, I got to interrupt you. I got to address Victor. Victor seems to have a complex. Victor says, panelists, common Liberians off. You are talking down to us, especially George. You need to be talking with us. Victor, you are having a conversation. You engage with us. So nobody is talking down to you. We are having a conversation, and this conversation is not new. We have had this conversation with people in government, from Ellen's government to present.
Victor, there are only so many ways you can talk about technology.
And if you don't know, don't feel like somebody talking down to you.
We're not talking down to you.
Or you don't agree. Nobody talking down to you. So stop this misperception.
So
what the issue is, we are having a discussion on challenges. We are offering solutions on challenges. The best you can do is to try to offer counter solutions.
The challenge for Victor is this: when you cannot contribute to a conversation intelligently, what do? You ring out insults. So
I think they make us only against George. They make us only against
it's okay. This is not the platform for personal attacks.
My man. I don't even know him, but I say my man. But so back to Liptelco, Akina. The data center at Liptelco is only 25% used. So we're sitting on 55% excess capacity. We're sitting on a data center that's only 25% used. Okay, but we have government agencies, all of them, quote unquote, building their own data centers, which are you understand?
Replicating. They're spending useless. They're spending money on something that's already there.
That is already ready to use. So and then let's talk about now. This is how it all dovetails into what we talked about, the siloed nature of government data. If you're laying now on after 4 o'clock, international organization can't check your passport data. Allah?
No, you're correct. You're correct.
Right. So then we ask. So Victor, here's how it affects the private citizen. When you travel on SN Brussels and the flight is delayed, because you have a Liberian passport, and they have no way of verifying the authenticity of this passport, because they like going to foreign ministry, you sleeping in the airport. If your flight delayed 3 days, you sleeping in the airport 3 days. The American question when they come out, they say, "Oh my man, anyway you want to go." When the plane ready to go, we'll call you. Okay, so you don't recognize it, Victor. It has a direct impact on the lives, the comfort, the movement of the ordinary Liberian citizen,
and even the perception of how that government that owns that system operates.
Right. The Ghanaians don't have that problem. Ghana just in the last year, I think, got a certification from the International Air Travel something where their Ghanaian national ID card can be used as a travel document.
That's exactly right. Because again, like you and Abba said earlier, you have to identify these things, and then you build the systems around these things so that they can be globally accepted, and then you provide the assurances that these systems you're putting in place will be what? Will be 24/7 all the time, ready and accessible for,
Right.
for authentication. And this is what I'm saying. Going back to the telco, right? My point is this. There is so much money. That's the other thing I noticed on the trip. There is so much money being spent on data connectivity, internet connectivity within the Liberian economy today. Out of all of the money we send home, all of the money that is paid on salaries and whatever the case is locally in the economy, a lot of the money is being spent on mobile services, okay, to access the Facebook, email, blah, 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 whatever the case is. The largest telephone network in the entire Liberia is not Lone Star or Orange or Liptelco. It's WhatsApp. WhatsApp is the largest telephone network because I receive more telephone calls locally in Liberia on WhatsApp than I received directly.
No, but right in the US, yeah, I receive more in the US too.
More, that's exactly right. So,
and naturally, my first inclination to call anybody is to call them on WhatsApp.
To call them on WhatsApp. That's exactly right. So, what am I getting at, right? So, my thing is, Liptelco has its purpose because if we agree, George, that there's a tremendous amount of money, right? Money that's being spent within the data telecom sector, within Lone Star and Orange. Then what we need to do is the leadership of the telco need to recognize that and develop the systems and make the proper investments for them to get about 5, 10, 15, 20% market share so that some of that money can come over to them. And then
so they could put a tower in Marshall, for example.
But guess what? They do have one. The tower for Marshall is on Tower Hill. It's on Tower Hill that overlooks Marshall.
So are they selling? So are they selling speeds that are close to Starlink speed? Because I will tell you.
Hang on. Okay. The thing is this. Like I said earlier, right? You can buy a very, very nice car, a Tesla, right? A Tesla dual motor, whatever the case is, high level, okay, for someone. Give it to the person, but if the person doesn't know the value of that car, he may not even know how to start the car or not even know how to open the door. And this is the challenge with Liptelco. The leadership of Liptelco is incompetent. Let me be honest. Because if you have a tower on Tower Hill, the tower for Liptelco on Tower Hill has been there for many, many years. That is the main backbone. When you drive into Roberts Field, when you get to Tower Hill, you notice that all of the mobile companies, even from Levercell to Comium to MTN and Orange and the telco, they all have towers at that location. Why? Because that is the main backbone to get you to where? To Buchanan. That's where all of the microwave links from Monrovia, they all go through there. And now Doison Marshall has grown up as a major subscriber-based community. So naturally, you bring your traffic into Tower Hill, and then break it up into other areas like the BTS that is at the center builder's yard. That microwave that connects that tower is not coming from Monrovia; it's coming from Tower Hill because that's where the facility is. So my thing is, and you mentioned the fiber capacity. Do you know which operator has the largest percentage of the fiber capacity? It's Liptelco.
It's Liptelco. They have 15%.
They have 15%. And now, so
no, they have 20% in the other two. The total 45%, Liptelco has the largest block.
Yeah. And what are they doing with it? Yeah, Liptelco has towers in Red Light, Somalia Drive, Caldwell Junction, Central Town, all around. They need to focus on data services, make the problem. This is all about crafting the right deal, right, in the telecom sector so that you will get the infrastructure, get a bank involved with the whole project, so that the bank will be able to make the capital investment with you, the operator, and then the bank gets their money back in the sale. That's how
Oh, y'all
telecom
know
deals are
we'll,
done.
we'll keep this on all day long, but I think we got to bring this to a happy closure. George, it was wonderful for you to join us.
Yeah, I'm sorry I
We
couldn't join you
continue.
by picture. I was at the listen. So you want to talk about technology? The whole time I've been on this call, I was literally at the dog park with my dogs.
Just show
That's
us a
good.
picture. You left the dog park?
Yeah, well, I was at the dog park with my dogs, but
Yeah, you
I'm
said
not
you
there
couldn't show
anymore.
your picture.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
Victor,
But anyway,
I
that's
got
that.
I got to hook up with Victor though.
Victor said, I don't know whether he's saying, Al, I take serious exception to your comment about me. I'm one of the most educated librarians in our time, in our lifetime.
I'm not challenging
Not
your
questioning
education, Victor.
that.
At all.
This is my point.
Okay, but Victor, if you want, I can send you a proposal on solar. I can send you a proposal on drone using drone technology basically across government. I can send you proposal on the national identification. I can send you proposal on the electronic address system. All those things, Victor, we have shared them, we have given them to our leaders. Unfortunately, look, we have another idea, 1,000 points of lights, or let's just reduce it to 100 points of lights, where we implement the integration of solar energy, water, and what they call the stuff name, and food, growing food with better technology. We have shared with Minister of Finance. We have shared with the renewable energy people. We have shared with the Ministry of Agriculture. It's up to them when they want to get on these things and implement them, Victor. We're not just sitting here and just criticizing people. No, we have not criticized anybody in this discussion. So for you to think
Victor, I
that
sent you
we're
a
not
message on.
offering stuff, we can have a debate and we can share all these documents with you and then there are discussion, because most times debate usually deteriorates and go the wrong way. But discussion. So things are happening, but they're not happening at the pace that the potential of development has for things to happen. So people in government who are the facilitators, who are the regulators, they need to elevate what they are doing. Look, some people in government today are working. They are trying. That one of the things I know, because I see some of the efforts. But the Liberian people who selling their bread and butter, they're not seeing the impact of those things right away. It's not easy for the panhandler or the market woman or the other person who's selling wares from place to place, the yarn board, to just see immediate improvement, because right now they stay stuck in the prices going up. There are limited people buying because everybody is in the marketplace. We need to shift some of those people in the marketplace into service functions. So when we can do those things and the government can facilitate small businesses doing those things, then we get to where we want to get to as an economy. Otherwise, there will be this huge disparity between what the government people making, what the rest of the people are doing, and what the exploiters, and the people who are ahead in business and have access to capital, what they're doing. That's why some of us are pushing the Liberia Diaspora Equity Fund, because that would be an opportunity for Liberians to create, a critical mass of money, maybe 500, 200 million, 300 million, 400 million. And then we can put it into businesses that are Liberian owned. We can get into the right sector. We can get into other sector.
Before Victor go, just let me leave you with it, lad. This is my closing, right?
Yeah.
Victor, do you guys know why the Capitol building burned down? It burned down because they don't have a local area network. Meaning they couldn't have a fire safety system that would monitor and call somebody. Murakami said that his office was broken into in the Capitol building. How? I have an office that's about 35 minutes from where I live. At any given time, I can pull up on my phone each one of the 6 cameras in my office.
I was talking to a young guy last night who has a call center, George. He was telling me he's here in the US right now. He was monitoring his call center on his videos. You are watching like 8 or 10 videos, monitoring it, so you can be
right.
It can be
I mean, the
done.
world has advanced so much. You can do
But
anything
because
anywhere.
they
It can
rather
be
pay
done.
for scratch card at the Capitol, they don't have a local area network in the Capitol. So you can't have these global security services. This is where technology, not having technology, hurts us. So
Well,
now
technology
we got
is
to go find
necessary
another
today.
$20 million to rebuild the Capitol.
I don't even know how they came up with the estimate of 1.8 million to do what? What 1.8 million was
Like I said, the person who put that $1.8 million, that the person that set the fire before Christmas, are gone.
All right, John. Folks, thank
Later.
you for taking your time this morning. I know we got to talk to some people. They say they can get up early in Liberia. Yes, it's the afternoon, but in other parts of the world, it's early in the morning. So hopefully they will watch it on YouTube, or probably rewind to Facebook and watch it. But hey, the interaction is positive with our participants and our viewers. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to next Saturday where we come again with another show, and hopefully I'll be on the ground bringing you guys some real ground stuff. Akina?
Yeah, they again. I mean, thank you, thank you, George, for participating. He's gone, but I mean, there was so much more I wanted to talk about. Maybe I'll do a show maybe later on today or tomorrow after church to go more in depth on my findings. But I think one thing that all Liberians in the diaspora, especially in the U.S., Canada, Europe, need to understand is that Liberia is on the move. Don't get so hooked up, connected, and get yourself all emotionally charged by all of the noise that's being made from the politics and stuff like that. The economic side and the growth taking place in Liberia that's the silent side. There's not a lot of noise being made in that side or from that side, but things are happening. Things are happening, and when you look at the key economic indicators from people like the city builder, that facility that's being built on the Marshall Highway. You look at all the building material stores, you look at the hotel motels, the civil construction from the residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. Those are all key economic indicators that we in the diaspora need to now find our places in our economy. We need to bring in new monies. We need to bring in new ideas. We need to bring in new ways to integrate this economy. We need to bring in new connections, new relationships with the local businesses on the ground and help them to move forward. We need to now enter the market to compete. Competition is what is going to drive this economy forward. We can't just sit back and say, well, it's those people. And last but not least, I don't want anyone to believe that the foreigners control our economy. No, that is a fallacy. There are more Liberian businesses on the ground. The cumulative total of Liberian businesses on the ground is a greater number. It's a greater number compared to the foreign businesses on the ground. Granted, they're bigger, but they're not in terms of dollar amount totalized in terms of what Liberians own and control on the ground. The greatest challenge for Liberian businesses today on the ground, from my perspective, is
that that one there we gotta
organize.
we gotta bring that one to fact. We gotta bring that one to fact. We gotta get data that can validate what you just said. But
Ava, there's no way you can convince me, right, that city builders is larger than the cumulative total of Liberian businesses from EWA roundabout to Robertsfield. There's no way. There's no way you can tell me you add up the number of Liberian
I'm
businesses.
talking about by sectors. By sectors. Do you think what percentage of the construction sector in terms of those materials and stuff do you think they control?
Building materials.
Yes.
Hang on
and
now.
all those businesses on a highway probably got to buy from them to construct.
But this is my point. Okay, you like you rightly said, by sector. If you say you were leaving in 5 minutes, now you just open up a whole new can of worms.
No. Let me go. Because I'm leaving, and my wife says, "Is this how I'm going to spend my day?" I want to spend my day like this. So let me go.
You go, you go, you go. I'll be here for a couple of minutes. You go, you go, you go. And the point before you go, the point you made is right, right? Because the Liberians, again, we have not yet organized ourselves to see things from that perspective of city builder brings in things a lot. They bring in a lot of material, and they've got two levels of their market. They got the wholesale side that they supply what the other smaller building material stores,
Right.
okay, and then they've got their retail side that they supply to the bigger guys who are building motels, and things like that. So they play the market from two perspectives.
Right.
Because Liberians have, again, we have not yet
So we
organized
jump inside.
ourselves.
Liberian Diaspora Equity Fund coming. We're bringing some things. We're coming.
Yeah, so we need to look at the market from the look at the guys who are importing pempe and kekes. The guys who are importing the pempes and the kekes, those guys play a major role in the transportation sector, besides the vehicle. I mean, besides the so-called cars and trucks. But the guys who are importing pempes and importing kekes, they play a major role in the transportation sector of the country of Liberia. And most of those importers are now Liberians. Liberians are playing a role on the importation side, and then Liberian drivers are the ones who are riding those bikes around town. The most effective way to get across Monrovia is on a bike. It's on the bike. Because you don't have to be granted, it takes some uncalculated risk, but when you get on the bike, you tell the guys, look, I'll pay you an extra 50 LD to ride carefully. So all I'm saying is our economy is booming. We are in the boom state. The next 5 years of this economy, the growth of this economy is going to depend on the energy sector that you see behind me. The role of LEC in the energy sector is going to be very, very important. And I'm very, very encouraged by the new interim leadership of the 4 engineers who now play the role from the MD, the DMDO, DMDT, and the DMD for administration. Those guys can now move this company forward over the next 3 to 4 months, and then significantly reduce power outages that will address the stimulating and the growth of the economy. And then the one that would start, and when the new leadership comes in, once the selection process is done, then we can now start moving ourselves to address the demand issue and the generation capacity issue, which is what hinders Liberia today. We have a capacity issue. We don't have enough generation capacity, and that's where new investments need to come in. And for me, I'm a big advocate for solar. I believe solar energy in different counties tied into the grid and integrated into the grid to bring capacity and move it along Transco and move it to the various LEC substations. Then LEC can focus on distribution infrastructure to spread that power out to the residential and the commercial customers. So the future of Liberia's economic growth and prosperity is going to depend on LEC. What LEC does and how LEC works and how LEC operates over the next 5 years, along with asset management companies from Jungle Power up in Nimba, Bong, and Grand Bassa, and asset management companies like Liberia, LIB Energy in the southeast. Those are going to be the key things to move the country forward. If those matters are addressed, if there's new investments that come in from private sector investment in the solar energy sector to then tie into the grid through the LERC, I think we will be able to meet our needs, because one of the things that we Liberians need to focus on and understand is that energy security is national security. Energy security is national security. We need to now address this energy issue from a national security point of view, where Liberia becomes energy sufficient and energy independent. If we're not energy independent, that means our economic growth is going to depend on power coming from CIE, from La Cote d'Ivoire. And if La Cote d'Ivoire doesn't have enough capacity, that means our economy is going to be slowed down. Our economic growth, we're not going to meet the numbers, and will not get the job creation, and the quality of life will not be realized by the citizens of our country. So economic security is tied to energy independence, and that's where it's so important for LEC and the president and the vice president to demonstrate strong leadership on this issue, because LEC is going to be the one thing that its success or failure will automatically dictate where Liberia goes. The expats investors will not be attracted, the diaspora will not be attracted, and local businesses will not be able to grow. Our small and medium-sized enterprises will not be able to manufacture because energy is the key. So my trip was very exciting. Next week we'll go into more things. We'll talk about education. We'll talk about the entertainment industry. We'll talk about the broadband infrastructure as well. We'll talk about small Liberian businesses. But again, my report card for Liberia right now is growth, growth, growth. We're growing economically. Don't get emotionally disappointed or upset with all of the noise from the politics. The economic side is growing rapidly, very, very rapidly. And the economic numbers are amazing, and Liberians are fully engaged, from the agricultural sector to the hotel motel sector to the transportation sector to the building construction sector to the electrical sector. Liberians are engaging the process. The role of the diaspora is what's missing to bring in new capital, new monies, new ideas, new partnerships to move it to the next level. And once we can do that, I think we as a people will be able to grow and expand. Have a great weekend. Be safe out there, and I love you and look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.